Takes a lot of volunteers to keep all of those points of distribution running smoothly.
Reporter Chris Sadeghi visited a supply site in Beaumont, and tonight he joins us live from High Island. Chris?
Well, guys, down here on the coast is where we've seen a lot of the heavy structural damage. Relatively lucky here on High Island. This awning here at this gas station, one of the few structures that was taken down by the hurricane. A lot of times when we talk about the places hardest hit, we tend to speak only in terms of that heavy structural damage. That isn't necessarily always the case. For example, we were in Beaumont earlier today, a place that didn't have a lot of the structural damage. But take a look at this. This is how their water is coming out of their taps. It's got that brownish hue to it. And this is one of the examples of some hidden damage. You have to wait in a long line to get it, but at least this water's clear.
My water is dirty, it tastes salty.
Salt water intruded into the treatment plant, so the only H2O Trina Bennett has been using lately comes from a bottle. Not just to quench her thirst, but to stay clean.
We're using bottled water and soap and so forth. Nothing with the tub or nothing like that.
And this could become a regular wait over the next few weeks. Entergy says it could be until the first week of October before power is fully restored.
Damage is not as visible as it was back during Hurricane Rita, and that's why they can't understand why our power's not coming back on.
That's because widespread damage to transmission lines will take a while to fix, and until then, they'll be waiting. So with no power, they've brought in some generators to get the water and sewer systems running. They are up and running, but they're moving very slowly in Beaumont. And the last thing they need is all those evacuees coming back to town and overloading those systems. So what they're asking, if you did evacuate, stay put just for a little bit. Let them work out some of the kinks. We're live on High Island. Chris Sadeghi, 11 News.
So Chris, you did a lot of traveling today from Beaumont all the way down to High Island. What did you see as you went through that landscape?
Well, you really don't see a lot of the structural damage like I mentioned that you see on the coast, but you do see a wide variety of problems. For example, we were in Beaumont. They've got discolored brown water. They've got no power. Then we go to Orange, and they've got their water's clear, and 80% of them do have power, but they've got a whole other set of problems. They're dealing with flooding there, having to throw their possessions out on the street side. The roads are covered in mud, so it just really kind of shows the variety of problems that a storm like this can cause, in addition to all the structural damage.
That's Chris Sadeghi from High Island. We'll talk again in a little bit. Thanks, Chris.
But first, let's show you some pictures with reporter Chris Sadeghi. He's in Surfside in Brazoria County. Chris?
All right, Chris, we don't have your audio, so we'll continue with this list until we get that worked out. So hold on just a second, if you would. We do have a couple of food stores here that we can also tell you. There are several Krogers that are up, about 30 HEBs. And Chris, can you hear us now?
1, 2. Yeah, I can hear you now.
1, 2. Now we got you. All so right. You're there at Surfside. Yeah. Give us the latest on what you have.
Yeah, we're here in Surfside. People are getting a chance to take a look at their homes for the first time since Ike went through. They are letting them in. They started at noon. They're getting a chance to come to their homes, take a look. Also, if they have a chance to grab any belongings, they can do that. They don't want them rummaging through the debris because it's still quite dangerous out here. There's a lot of metal on the ground, a lot of glass on the ground. They don't want anybody getting hurt. They have until 7 o'clock before they have to be off the island. Now, some homes like this one, you might be able to see the red X's on the side there. That means they are too dangerous. They don't want anybody going anywhere near inside to move anything at all. I believe we have some video for you. You can take a look. People are arriving at their homes and they're really just trying to take a look, see what they can find. Now, the common theme here, those that had homes that are up on the pilings, they said the inside really isn't that bad. Now, those that had homes that are down on the ground, a little bit different story. They say that the flooding did some damage, that stuff was moved around, a lot of debris. So those that had homes up on the pilings, from what we've been able to tell, they're faring a lot better than those that had homes down on the ground. If you want to come back out here live, you can see there's going to be plenty of cleanup to do. This was an empty lot right here. You can see that it is going to take quite the cleanup process to get that cleaned up. Also, take a look at this Jeep right here. This Jeep floated over here, the surf, to show you how intense it was. This Jeep originally was over here down at this brown house. The surf was that powerful, took it right on over here. But for the most part, it looks like a lot of people have been coming in, just kind of checking to see how their homes are doing, making sure they're still here. As we mentioned, about 20 homes here in Surfside completely collapsed. And once they are here, they're seeing if they can just grab anything, those most important items, nothing too big, before they have to be right back off the island at 7 o'clock. This should continue for about 2 to 5 days is what we're told, until they can get in here and get things cleaned up and make it safe to return. Guys.
All right, Chris Sadeghi, thank you. At Surfside, a mess down there. A truck moved, looked like it's about 50 feet from where it originally was. Wind and water damage and the whole mess.
Key Island, it also took a big blow from Hurricane Ike, and that's where we find our Chris Sadeghi. Chris?
Well, as the folks returned to Tiki Island, this is what they found. They found their belongings just loaded up in a big pile here, and we're not talking about small stuff. I see just right here 3 or 4 large boats, and keep in mind this debris field goes back a few hundred feet. This is all stuff that the storm surge just washed up all over town. Now the good news is that they require homes to be built up high here in Tiki Island. Take a look at this video. Let me show you what we are talking about. You can see that there is some damage to some homes, damage to the roof, damage to the siding and some of the decks, but the emergency management coordinator here says that these homes, many of which are vacation homes, others are people's primary residence, about 90% of them are still intact and are livable. And the reason why is because the living quarters are built high enough to avoid a storm surge like what we saw with Ike. So today, from dawn to dusk, a look and leave policy was in place for residents to come in, take a look at their home, but they are not encouraged to sift through the debris since it is still very dangerous. More or less, it's just a chance to take a look, take a few pictures, see what is or is not still here. And they say this will probably continue through Friday. Now back out here live, you can see that there is a lot of debris to sift through, but also, like most of the other cities that Ike paid a visit to, the key thing as far as getting people back in here is going to be getting those utilities back up. The water system, the sewer system, the power system, all knocked out by Ike, and it could take a long time, several days, weeks, maybe even months before they finally get all those kinks worked out and people are allowed to return back here and live somewhat normally.
Chris, you said they had that look and leave policy today, and I know a lot of folks wanted to go and see what was left. What were they telling you when they saw the damage?
A lot of people, they just came in and more or less they were just kind of see, you know, if they had a boat, was it still on their residence or was it washed up here somewhere? Really and truly, they just trying to take a look. A lot of them have to take pictures for insurance purposes. More or less, if anything was on the ground, and this is what we're hearing with a lot of the communities here by the coast, more or less, if something was on the ground, chances are it isn't where you left it. It's moved up somewhere. So part of the process is going to be coming through, sifting through, you know, if this is someone's boat, see if they can grab it and salvage what they can. But really and truly, right now, it was just a chance to take a look. People we talked to don't plan on returning for quite a while because, quite frankly, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to without the power, the utilities, and the dangers it poses.
And did you get any sense, Chris, about how long that may be? You say quite a while. Are we talking days, weeks, or months?
Well, we hear that it very well could be months. Earlier today, we were in Bayou Vista talking to people there. They say they don't plan on returning until January. They think it's going to be that long before they get everything taken care of and to a point where they can come back and live comfortably. So it will be a slow process. They hope to get the utilities back on as soon as possible. I think that's the key thing. But as far as getting all the damage taken care of and sorting through this big pile, yes, we very well could be talking about months.
Well, Bayou Vista and Tiki Island, both those canal-type communities going through the same type of thing there. Chris Sadeghi, thanks so much for joining us.
You know, as we've told you, Chambers County took